FOMO podcast, and as part of our gap year adventure, we went to 18 countries in 3 months, and we always get asked, what was your favorite? So we want to share with you our best and worst places that we stayed.
Okay, Jamin, what was your worst place that you stayed in Europe when you traveled 18 countries for 3 months? Go.
For me, it was Dublin. When it comes to accommodation, we stayed in a hostel there where the people were nice and everybody was great, but it just wasn't that great. It was a little uncomfortable. It was way dated and just didn't have that fun a time staying in that particular place.
Dublin in general, it wasn't our favorite.
It was a miss for us.
It was a miss.
What about you? What was your worst accommodation?
Worst would have to be Innsbruck for me. It was an Airbnb. It was also fine. It had scratchy tiles though, and that counts against. The oven wasn't working. The bathroom toilet seat was basically like a comic strip, which was just really funny, and it didn't go really at all and is not typical of an Airbnb. Oh man, that's also where we ended up leaving your retainer there. But they were great. They mailed it to us to the US. It was crazy. So nice.
I think you're just salty because you fell out of the shower.
I may be holding that against the Airbnb, but I did fall out of their shower and nearly break my hip, and it made me feel older than I am. There's that. It also was really rainy, so it could have played into it that we didn't really have the best time in the city as well.
What was your favorite accommodation in all of Europe?
This one I could talk about forever, but I'll try to keep it short. Santorini. We were just going to go for a day trip. Because of some ferry complications, we decided to book a ferry that would take us there and would stay overnight and then return to our other island that we were on. It was so worth it. We stayed at the Ablata Suites, and they were incredible. We had a standalone suite, and it was kind of along this path. It felt like it was out in the country, but it was close enough you could still walk all of the incredible cliff side of Santorini, and it was amazing. We had a plunge pool. We had this prairie field in front of us where you couldn't see a person. You would have had to get binoculars out to see somebody that was in a neighboring house or community. So we had so much privacy, and the whole place was beautiful.
My favorite accommodation from our trip in Europe was definitely our Airbnb in Edinburgh. We stayed in the grass market area. We had this Airbnb that not only overlooked the grass market, but it also had a window that looked up to the castle. There are no buildings between us and the castle. We just stayed there in the shadow of the castle. I don't know how many times I walked over to that window and just looked up at the castle. I loved being in Edinburgh, and I loved staying at that place.
They're so epic. Check out the links to these places below, and even the bad ones weren't that bad. We have to go ahead and say that. You can get an idea of places that we've stayed and book them for yourself if you like them.
Also, there are full videos on all the places that we went, so if you want to hear more about that stuff, you can listen to podcasts and watch videos on each of these stops.
Life is short, guys.
Wander well.